Now at 6, some Joplin residents came together for a chili cook-off at the Empire Market. Plus, the George Washington Carver National Monument Park is showing off some of their findings from the Archaeological Investigations Program. And 2 Pittsburgh organizations gather volunteers for community service on Highway 69.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Cale Chapman. Some Joplin residents came together for a chili cook-off today at the Empire Market. The 4th annual chili feed brought 8 contestants to share their chili recipes with the community. Judges and visitors both contributed to the vote for the best chili. The competition also included a wooden spoon for a trophy that a contestant that uses the most market ingredients could win. Director of the Empire Market says during the winter months, people may get out of the habit of going to the market, which is why events like this are important.
We try to come up with some kind of fun and engaging activities and events for people to remember that we're still here, we're still open, we still have vendors who are selling produce and meat and eggs and bread, and this just is kind of an extra thing to get people to visit the market on a weekly basis.
Joplin professional firefighters placed first in the judges contest. All of the top 3 winners donated their earnings back to the Empire Market. And the George Washington Carver National Monument Park is showing off some of their findings from their Archaeological Investigations Program. After the park became established, there were some findings in the area that can show how life in the day of George Washington Carver may have looked like. A lot of these items were found from the area of a cabin where it's alleged that George Washington Carver was born. Park guide Ryan O'Connell says archaeology is an important part of understanding the past.
It also allows people to see something from the past that could be underneath anyone's feet. History is always below the surface, and so this gives people an opportunity to view the past that walks right below their feet and to see artifacts from someone who is historically significant.
The free presentation will also be held tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m. inside the Visitor Center. Earlier today, the Pittsburgh area Young Professionals and Pittsburgh Beautiful were joined by community members and city employees for a cleanup effort on Highway 69. The volunteers started on the north end of the bypass at the East Atkinson intersection and worked their way south.
I think the goal here today was just to be proud of Pittsburgh. It's where we live, it's where we're from. And we're not okay with this type of litter on the side of the highway. So the goal was to just organize, take care of it, prove that we can do it, and that any group who wants to accomplish something like this, just start a sign-up sheet, put it out on the internet, and you too can accomplish things like this.
The Pittsburgh area Young Professionals' next volunteer cleanup will be on Earth Day. A bright fireball streaked through the night sky over Tulsa, Oklahoma. The meteor was captured on surveillance cameras early Friday morning. Some residents report hearing a sonic boom. No word yet on where or if the meteor landed. And heavy bands of snow fell in northwestern Kansas at a rate of approximately 1 to 2 inches per hour this morning, according to the National Weather Service. Video posted by the NWS office in Goodland, Kansas today shows flurries falling on snow-covered grounds. The NWS said that the footage captured the picturesque snowfall. Kansas Department of Transportation officials warned that weather conditions caused roadway closures in the area. And Sam Lane joins us with a first look at the weather.
Thank you very much, Cale. Yeah, the snow is still ongoing across parts of Kansas. In fact, winter storm warnings are still in effect for western Kansas until 8 o'clock tonight, so a few more hours. And then the winter weather advisory is still in effect for a large chunk of Kansas, with that snow stretching from just north of Wichita up towards Salina and over towards Topeka, turning over to some rain, cold rain at that, in Kansas City. And that's what we're going to have in our area tonight, with temperatures dropping through the 30s tonight with those off and on showers, maybe mixing over with some snow late tonight with a low of 32 degrees. And looking down the lane, we're going to have a mix on Sunday morning, but then a partly cloudy Monday, and then a big winter storm impacting the region on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And of course, I'll have all the details on that coming up in your forecast in just a little bit.
All right, well, thank you, Sam. Research suggests the so-called triple-demic is having the biggest impact on young children, and the government looks to make sure organic foods are really organic. Michael George has a look at some of the top health stories this week.
All imported organic foods must be certified by the U.S. Agriculture Department beginning in March. The USDA is trying to cut down on fraud and improve oversight. Officials say the new rule will boost authority for inspections, record keeping, traceability, and fraud prevention practices. A study in the journal Pediatrics looking at children hospitalized with COVID found those under age 5 who tested positive for a second virus, such as a cold, were significantly more likely to receive increased oxygen support or be admitted to the intensive care unit. Researchers from the CDC also found children under age 2 who also had RSV were twice as likely to have severe respiratory illness compared to those without RSV. And the benefits of vitamin D may diminish for overweight people. A study at Brigham and Women's Hospital found vitamin D metabolized differently in people with an elevated body mass index. Researchers found a 30 to 40% reduction in cancer deaths and autoimmune disease among people taking vitamin D supplements with lower BMIs. That's a look at some of the week's top health stories. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
We take time now to honor a local veteran. Frank Miles served in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 1945. The Chitopa, Kansas native fought in the European theater in World War II. As part of the 3rd Battalion, 331st Infantry, Miles was involved in D-Day and the Battle of Normandy. Miles was awarded the World War II Victory Ribbon Good Conduct Medal, EAME Theater Ribbon, Silver Service Star, and Bronze Star Medal. To Master Sergeant Frank Miles, we salute you, our four-state hero. And coming up, the White House Chief of Staff is stepping down. Who might take his spot? Plus, a trial has been set for those involved in the death of Elijah McClain 3 years after his passing. White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain, who has served in the position since the start of the Biden administration, is preparing to step down, according to a new report. Klain will likely leave following President Biden's State of the Union address on February 7th. The New York Times first reported this, citing senior administration officials. Klain has told colleagues since the midterm elections in November that he is preparing to leave. A successor is not yet in place, but some names floated include Labor Secretary Marty Walsh, Senior Advisor Anita Dunn, Domestic Policy Advisor Susan Rice, and former Coronavirus Response Coordinator Jeff Zients. More than 3 years after the deaths of Elijah McClain, a trial has been set for the first responders charged for their roles in his death. Each of those 5 accused pled not guilty today. Elijah McClain was 23 when he was killed after an encounter with police. Someone called 911 to report a suspicious person. That person was McClain. He was unarmed and walking with a ski mask on. The encounter quickly escalated and ultimately ended in his death.
After months of delays and more than 3 years since Elijah McClain died, the first responders charged in his death entered not guilty pleas.
I'm not surprised that they did not want to admit their wrongdoing. I'm not surprised that they want to try their luck in the same system that bred them.
Elijah's mother, Shanine McClain, will now have to sit through 3 separate trials, starting with 2 of the officers, Jason Rosenblatt and Randy Rodema, in July. The 2 paramedics who injected ketamine into McClain will go to trial in August. And Officer Nathan Woodyard, who applied a chokehold to McClain, is set to go before a jury of his peers in September.
I know that regardless of what happens in the court in Adams County, I know that the universe and the Most High God is ultimately going to be the one that serves them their justice. They're going to be the ones that serves them their punishment.
While McClain chose not to be inside the courtroom for the arraignments,
when I would get there and I would see their faces and I would see how arrogantly proud they were.
She says no matter how difficult the task, her plan is to be back in the courtroom day in and day out when those trials begin.
I'm pretty sure I'll be able to be there front and center.
McClain today, while not wanting to be in the courtroom, says she tried multiple times to access the virtual hearing and was not able to get in. She raised concerns that other members of the public may not be able to either. The court administrator says that it is a public link. A little later, sports director Jacob Leonard has all the highlights from the Bill Hanson Memorial Tournament Championship.
And we're going to have a look at the radar as well as your extended forecast, which has lots of chances of winter-like precipitation when we come back. Well, it certainly felt more like January and winter out there today as we've been experiencing over the last few days, and winter is just getting started. We'll take a look right now outside at Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Cloudy skies down there, also some wet pavement as they've had some showers this afternoon, and they've been a cold rain today, just kind of a raw day out there. We only made it up to 46 after starting out at 28, which was right around the normals of 45 and 25. And of course, we weren't near those records of 73 and minus 11 back in 1984. Here's a look at the radar. You can see that the first batch of showers has now moved over to the east and starting to mix over a little bit just over east of Springfield. Then we have another batch of rain developing in north central Oklahoma. And with that, also some snow up in central Kansas, getting as close to us as Newton, Kansas right now with some snow reported there. You can see that this is all part of a bigger upper level system that is pulling across Kansas right now, but you can also see it's kind of weakening as it moves to the east, but it is going to be bringing a little bit of mixture in our area late tonight and tomorrow morning, and also some colder air behind it just in time to meet up with the next storm system. Temperatures this afternoon, as I mentioned, were not that warm, generally in the mid 40s across the area, stayed in the 30s up to the north in Garnett and in Yates Center. And temperatures right now are starting to drop into the 30s pretty much everywhere, with a few 40s thrown in down in Oklahoma. And we're generally running around a few degrees colder this evening than we were last night at this time. And that colder air is going to be entrenched overnight, as we're going to see temperatures remaining in the 30s for the most part. Dew points are in the 30s right now, 39 in Grove and 39 in Anderson. And in Joplin, we're sitting at 39 degrees with an east wind at 7, so it makes it feel like it's 34 out there, 82% on the humidity, and the pressure is currently falling. Rain chances this evening are a pretty good bet, but then they start dropping off just as the cold air arrives, so we're not expecting a big mixture of system tonight and tomorrow morning, but the chances are there, especially for our friends and folks up towards the north. In fact, here's a look at the forecast. As we go through time, we're going to see that mixture mainly up towards the north with lows in the 30s. And then as we go through the day on Sunday, mostly cloudy skies with spotty showers. Again, some of this could be mixed with temperatures in the upper 30s to around 40 degrees. Then that system moves away and we start to see mostly fair skies as we move into Monday with lows in the 20s. And then the next storm system starts to move in late Monday afternoon with the clouds, with highs in the 40s across our area and southwesterly winds. And then as we go into Tuesday morning, we'll start to see readings in the 20s and our winds turning around to the east ahead of the next storm system, which will start to affect our area Tuesday night. All right, here's a look at the rainfall amounts tonight. Not a whole lot, generally around a tenth or two in some of the heavier spots. Now looking down the road, here's the storm system right now. That's moving away. Cold air comes in behind it just in time to meet up with this very powerful storm system moving into the plains on Tuesday and then into Wednesday morning. That kind of swings by, and then the cold air comes in behind that storm system. And depending on the exact track of that storm is going to make a big difference in our snowfall totals. And we'll take a look at that a little bit closer later on tonight in your forecast. But here's a look at the next 7 days. We're expecting the mix tonight and then a bigger chance of snow on Tuesday night into Wednesday, so I've issued an alert day for those days, and then colder on Thursday, and then yet another storm system with winter-like precipitation possible next weekend. So winter has not given up the ghost yet.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to get my salt out now.
Yes, the salt and the shovels and the whole thing.
All right, well, there you go. Thank you, Sam. Still ahead, the Kansas City Chiefs host the Jacksonville Jaguars, aiming to move on to the AFC Championship game. And it's also championship night at the Bill Hanson Memorial Tournament in Pittsburgh. Jacob Leonard joins us with that and more next.
Well, after a bye week to begin the playoffs last week, the Kansas City Chiefs are back in action this weekend in the AFC Divisional Round. Kansas City is at home tonight, hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars for a spot in the AFC Championship game. Now, with a win today, the Chiefs will play for the conference title for the 5th consecutive season. They're about to finish this one off. They're up 27-17 with about 5 minutes to go. Travis Kelce having a monster day for the Chiefs. 14 catches, 98 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The Carl Junction girls basketball team has played in 4 tournaments so far this season. They've made the tournament championship in all 4. Today, the Bulldogs have a shot at another tournament title, facing Kickapoo in the Bill Hanson Memorial Championship in Pittsburgh. Carl Junction 14-1 on a 9-game winning streak coming into the day. Hot start for Kickapoo. Maya Nieto pass fake, then pulls up and connects. Chiefs lead 16-4 after the first. CJ didn't shoot it very well in the first half. Here though, Chloe Burke, corner 3. But the Bulldogs down 18 at halftime. In the third quarter. Here comes Carl Junction. Desi Williams, corner 3. Then Kylie Scott steps out, same corner. Knocks it down. Bulldogs get it to an 8-point game going to the fourth. And down just 3 here. Desi Williams, big time 3-ball from the far side. And just like that, game is tied with less than 2 minutes to go. Now still tied, 1 second left. After a foul, Chloe Burke at the line with a chance to win it. Hits the first, then hits the second to give CJ the lead. Final chance for Kickapoo. Kylie Scott breaks up the long pass. And that's it. Carl Junction erases an 18-point halftime deficit to win the tournament title over Kickapoo 41-39.
There were countless times in that first half we weren't on the same page, and kids weren't communicating and talking. Our body language was pretty poor, and we discussed that. I said, I'm not going to be a part of this if our body language is that bad, because our program has prided itself on good body language, good chemistry, and being a good class act team. And we did that in the second half. We turned it around. We played tougher.
On the boys' side today, tournament host Pittsburgh plays for third, facing the Washburn Rural Blues. Dragons go straight to Jackson Turnbull, working in the paint. Turns and scores. Then Mason English, deep pull-up 3. Pittsburgh up 6 after the first. Second quarter, though, big one for the Blues. Trey Morris drives and scores. Rural takes a 3-point lead at the break. In the second half, Mason English made some big-time shots. Buries the 3 from way downtown, then stepping out a little bit deeper. Almost at the logo on this 3. Mason English, 35 points in this one for Pittsburgh. Purple Dragons, though, just can't get back in front. Dragons fall 69-63 to finish 4th in the tournament. In Frontenac, today is also the final day of the 4-State Raider Classic at Frontenac High School. In the girls' bracket, the Nevada Tigers are in the finals today after knocking out tournament host Frontenac on Friday night. And Nevada, tough draw in the tournament title game today, facing the Blue Springs Wildcats. On the second quarter, Clara Swearingen, big night for the Tigers in the semifinals last night. Hits the 3-ball there. She scores 11. A little bit later, Katie Johnson also connecting from deep. At that point, it's just a 1-point game. The Blue Springs pretty good this afternoon, and they would close it out. Kaylee Jenkins, 3-ball for the Wildcats. Then later in the third, Jayla Cornelius gets a hand on the inbound pass, then collects it, takes off, and gets all the way to the rim for the lay-in. Blue Springs wins today 55-44. Nevada finishes as tournament runner-up. In the boys' championship game in Frontenac, Webb City taking on Edmond Santa Fe. The Cardinals not able to get it done, falling 52-41 to finish as tournament runner-up. Baron Duda leads the way for Webb City with 14 points and 7 rebounds. Webb City now 13-4, will be back in action on Tuesday hosting Hillcrest. And that's it for sports. We're back after this.
Beachgoers and locals clapped and cheered as a giant seal returned to the sea on Friday after a dramatic visit to a southern Australian town. Social media videos showed the seal galumphing through the beachside parking lot, startling beachgoers. The seal, which the locals named Henry, was earlier seen going to a local service station. The mayor of the borough of Queenscliff, Isabel Tolhurst, told Reuters that perhaps Henry wanted an ice cream. Tolhurst also said that police and Parks Victoria were engaged to keep the seal and community safe, assuring that he was guided back to the shore and safely out to sea.
Of course, it's summertime down there.
It is, yeah. It's a lot nicer.
Yeah, a lot nicer down there for the beach, certainly. And we're going to see some mixture tonight into tomorrow morning, a better chance of a winter storm on Tuesday into Wednesday, and then yet another system next weekend. So lots of chances for winter-like precipitation over the next 10 days. But of course it is January, and that is normal for this time of year.
There you go. Leonard, any sports updates?
Parsons boys, Columbus boys about to meet in the Lancer Classic Championship at 7 o'clock. We'll have highlights from that one right here at 10.
Sounds great. All right, well, that's our time for now. We'll leave you with a video of a Lunar New Year celebration in Russia. Thanks for making us a part of your night.